Hey, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. This time I am going to chime in my 2 cents on the Super Shenron issue. This is something that's been developing over the past few celebration events and over the past few events. And I have opinions, and I know people love when I talk about broken cards and banning cards, right? Hashtag OG7. I'll get some love in the chat for that. But yeah, man, this one is a little bit different. You know, I've taken a different approach in the sense that I don't like to now say that something's broken before it comes out, before it has any results to back it up. What I prefer to do now is, like, wait for those results, because I thought that Shenron Gogeta would be way more broken than it was, and I was wrong on that. So I think this instance has a little bit more data to kind of back it up. And yeah, I want to talk about my opinions on it. So before we get into this video, guys, if you're new to the channel, definitely hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you guys stay up to date with the most consistent Dragon Ball Super YouTube channel in the business. And if you guys are looking for a Discord community, and then check out the description below. Amazing group of people there, super helpful, help you with your deck, help you with anything you ask about. And finally, guys, if you're longtime fans of the channel or looking for some competitive content to read up on, do check out the Patreon in the description below. Helps me out a lot, and it just gets you guys more ready for events and whatnot. I will say that tomorrow I am going to do a video, a strategy series video, talking about cards that can counter Super Shenron, because there are cards that exist and there are strategies that do exist that can beat this deck, although they're kind of few and in between. But I want you guys to be as best prepared as possible, so I'm going to do a video on that with a strategy series, and I'm also going to be doing a matchup knowledge article on the Patreon as well that's going to complement that really nicely. So make sure you check those out. But in the meantime, I'm going to give you my opinions on this issue. So if you guys don't know, the Super Shenron deck has been doing very well ever since Charlotte. So Charlotte, my boy Danny Wynn, he came up with the deck like literally 10 minutes before the event. He just kind of like jam-packed the Storm Engine in the deck. I don't think he played any set 6 cards except for the leader, and he had a busted deck. And the main idea of it was looping Child's Wish, Explorer Bulma, and Dragon Radar to get back your Child's Wishes, right? Or to scry top 7 to grab more Dragon Balls to awaken by turn 2. That was another big piece of it. But yeah, the main offenders here are Child's Wish and Explorer Bulma, because Bulma, what she does is she untaps the 2 energy you use for Child's Wish. So a lot of times you're not even going to be Child's Wishing for free via your leader effect. You're going to be just hard casting Child's Wish, getting those 2 energy back immediately with Explorer Bulma. She's going to mill 2 cards, and she's going to draw you 1. So what does that do? It thins your deck out for 1, so you pretty much see the entire contents of your deck by turn 2, turn 3. Especially with your leader allowing you to check your life, you know where everything's at, and you're going to get to basically every card. And if you look at like the interview I did with Marcus back from last week when he got 3rd place in Chicago, side note, he did win San Diego with another Super Shenron variant, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But yeah, if you look at that list, he played super low numbers of certain things because this deck just turbos through everything so fast. I mean, Explorer Bulma draws you a card every time you loop it. Radar draws you multiple cards. You mill through so much of your deck. You see everything, and that's a big issue. I really like how this game is consistent. Like, there's no real room for like bricking for the most part. Your deck's pretty much always gonna let you do what it's meant to do usually, and I like that about this game. But this deck is just way too consistent and way too powerful in what it does. But yeah, so the objective is to loop Explorer Bulmas, and then on your turn 3 is typically when this is gonna happen. You're gonna just stack the board as wide as possible with like 1-drop attacking crit Krillins, Source of Power, Explorer Bulmas, Prefaces if you're playing that build, Path to Greatness if you're playing the Victory Strike Height of Mastery build. And then you're going to take the skip turn, and then your opponent's not going to be able to restand any energy. They're not going to be able to draw a card for turn, and you're just going to get an extra turn. You get to draw for turn. You get to charge new energy. All your energy restands, and all your attackers restand, and you go in. So arguably, it's like a worse Storm scenario, right? It's a lot of the Storm-esque things, especially if you play the Storm package. That is a thing with this deck. But you just get way more attacks than Storm ever got. You got a lot more energy manipulation than Storm has currently and probably had back then. So it's a new problem, right? But the interesting dynamic is that this deck is actually beatable. Storm, for the most part, we didn't have the defensive tools to beat that type of deck. Now this deck is beatable, but like I said, when I show the video tomorrow on how to counter it, there's not gonna be that many strategies you can pick, which kind of sucks because this pigeonholes you into playing certain things. Like, just some quick examples, like you need to play 4 Senzu Bean, you need to play a leader that can draw enough to see Senzu Bean, you got to play Nimbus to just try your best to survive the onslaught. And a lot of that's not even reliable, because if you play a blue leader, TN prevents you from senzu beaning. If you play Nimbus, they have battering laser in their deck, so that's a big problem too. And the other issue why I think this deck, so I guess I haven't said this yet, but I think this deck needs to be hit in some way, personally. I know a lot of people agree with this opinion, but I think this deck needs to be touched in some way. For that instance, it is a broken deck in that sense, even though it does have counters. It's way too broken, and it makes way too many decks unplayable. This is going to be the type of deck that, just like Storm, makes mid-range control decks unplayable. So I have a problem with that. And then I also have an issue with the fact that you literally take, 15, 20, 25, 30-minute turns playing Super Shenron. You can go back to the interview with Marcus as well. You can quote him on that. He says the same exact thing. You take such long turns, your opponent doesn't get to play. It takes interactivity out of the game, which... it is still a gameplay purpose, but even an outside gameplay purpose, just time in your turn and taking time and going to turns in time where you get to take, let's say your turn 1, you skip to turn 2, and then your opponent only gets one more turn after that. That's an issue for sure. So yeah, those are some of the reasons why I think this leader does need to be hit, and I'm going to talk about what I think needs to be done for this leader. One thing I will mention, I've read the idea to make wishing, make desires in general hard once per turns, and that could be interesting for sure. That could definitely do something. I mean, you definitely wouldn't be able to spam Explorer Bulmas, which is what this deck aims to do. However, I think this is going to get into my point now. I think Child's Wish and World Peace are just way too generic. This is what I've noticed with Bandai's design trends recently. Since Clash of Fates, the game has been so, like, in my opinion, perfectly balanced. Like, it's been, the cards they produce are excellent. Nothing is like too unfair, except for maybe this leader, and I don't think this leader on its own is the issue. I do think it's the cards that support this leader are the issue, and I'll get more into that in a minute. But yeah, so I think the design philosophy going forward since Clash of Fates has been absolutely phenomenal, and even in Set 5 it was good, except you did have some abused things with World Peace and Shenron Gogeta. That deck was good in the beginning of that format for sure, and then it started to get phased out by Janemba and some other things later on. But Child's Wish and World Peace are way too generic, and that's a product of their old design philosophy, their old designing flaws. I think when we have issues in the current format, a lot of the old cards contribute to that stuff. So looking currently at Child's Wish and World Peace, Child's Wish also contributes to the Agents of Destruction deck, which came in 3rd place at San Diego, and I know that deck will start to ramp up in popularity as well. Although it does have a hard time against Super Shenron, it can pretty much beat the rest of the board with no problem, which is, in my opinion, also an issue. And Child's Wish is the proponent to both of those kind of broken scenarios. Now, like I said, Child's Wish and World Peace are way too generic, and I think that's going to cause issues in the future. They can't design battle cards that are 3-drop 15k or less, and like look at Path of Greatness over here, 3-drop 19k. I can guarantee you they did that so that you could not Child's Wish this card into play. And look at that, the Height of Mastery, Victory Strike, Super Shenron build, it won San Diego, so that's still, pretty busted. But yeah, they have to just walk on eggshells around Child's Wish and World Peace now, just to make sure they don't print anything too busted. And World Peace doesn't have any type of like battle power restriction or energy restriction. You have to have the appropriate amount of energy to play the battle card, and then you can just play it for 4 energy. So these cards are way too generic, in my opinion, to be able to survive. I think that both these cards should be banned, and I think that desires in general should be made with a little bit more caution. So I have Plea for Salvation here, which is what I've been using lately to compare to something I think is a lot more fair. So Plea for Salvation, a lot of you guys might not know what it does. Let's read what it does real quick. This card gains desire in all areas. Activate main if your leader card is a Shenron card. Choose one green battle card in your drop area with energy cost less than or equal to your current energy and play it. Then choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 2 or less and KO it. So this is essentially a World Peace. It works for any Shenron leader no matter what color your leader is, but it only revives green battle cards. So this is what I mean when I say that I want them to print wishes that are a bit more streamlined, not something that's ultra specific, like let's say the green Goku GT stuff from set 5, but something like this where it does have room to do things. Like you can bring out the SS4 Goku with this, which I think is really cool, but you are locked into that green battle card, so you're not able to bring back Gogeta 7 with this, or bring back Explorer Bulma with this, which I think is totally fine and a lot more balanced, and you still have a lot of room for creativity, right? Like I said, you can splash this card in the Chilai deck, which, like, obviously there's no real thematic ties between this card and the Chilai deck, and then you could splash in the SS4 Goku in that deck and play it for 4 energy, which again, no no thematic ties, so there's still that creativity there, there's still that innovative deck building there, but you have a card that's just a lot more fair. You know, it doesn't open up your avenues to every single card in the game, which I think is a problem with World Peace and Child's Wish. And like I said, Child's Wish, in my opinion, is even more of an issue because, you know, you can't print good 3-drop 15k battle cards anymore that are way too generic, like Explorer Bulma, like the Boo that searches your Boo archetype out so that you can play the Secret Rare. Those are just a bunch of the problems. Now, one card I should probably have pictured here, but I don't for whatever reason, is Dragon Radar. Dragon Radar is another card that is really busted. I mean, the card's super duper good, but I will say that, you know, 1 energy to draw 2 isn't like the craziest thing this game's ever seen, but the recycling of wishes is pretty absurd, to be honest with you. That card's super good. It allows you, especially in the Super Shenron decks, allows you to just recycle everything and, you know, recast everything for free. And it gets really loopy, really repetitive, and that's another part of the thing that makes the turn super long. However, I definitely think Child's Wish is the problem card. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of people agree with it. I know a lot of people disagree with it. Child's Wish, to me, is the problem card. I would like to see Child's Wish go before Dragon Radar. I'm sure Dragon Radar will be abused in the future, even if Child's Wish and World Peace both go. However, I think Child's Wish is more the offender than either Bulma or Dragon Radar. However, I do admit that Dragon Radar is a busted card. I just think Child's Wish and World Peace are more busted. So that's just my opinion on that, guys. But yeah, so to wrap it up, in summation, like, I think that Child's Wish needs to go away. I think World Peace needs to go away because they're way too generic, and they just they limit the design space that Bandai wants to keep wide open. You know, they've made hits in the past to keep design space open, and I think they should continue to do that. And you know, Super Shenron has the results to back this up, right? It got 1 top cut in Charlotte when the deck was unknown. The deck was an unknown quantity, and Danny Wynn happened to make it. He did really well with it. And then the next event, what happened? I believe there was 4 Super Shenron on top cut. You know, I covered that event. I think it was either 3 or 4 Super Shenron on top cut. And then the next event, we had a Super Shenron finals, which, you know, there's that for you, that tier 0-esque kind of finals. Not saying it's quite tier 0 yet, because like I said, there are counters to it, but, you know, I digress. And then what was third place? Third place was Agents of Destruction, and that's another strategy that abuses Child's Wish. And then 4th place, we had, I believe, another Super Shenron. And I don't have all the top cut results for San Diego. Unfortunately, those are kind of hard to come by, but from what I've been able to gather, there was a lot of Super Shenron all over the place in top cut and in top 4. So that's my opinion, guys. Just a little bit of discussion building. You know, I think there's plenty of results to back up what I'm saying. But if you guys disagree, or if you guys agree, anything like that, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Really interested to hear your guys' thoughts. I hope that Bandai will do something about this deck, because it's just from too many perspectives, it's unfun. You take too many turns, you get too many attacks. If it's not tier 0, if it's not broken, it's just unfair, and I'm not a fan of that. But let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Hey, welcome to the end card, and thank you so much for sitting through that, because honestly, I'm just doing this until they make a Digimon trading card game. So if you like Dragon Ball Super for some reason, give it a sub up above. Maybe check out some of our other content, and do not forget, Digimon is way better than Pokemon. With that being said, we will see you next time.